Hello and welcome to Warwick Williams Insights for February. I'm David Frisina here with Conor Allen, our sales manager.
Hey,
Conor.
Hey,
So we're now in the last week of February. It's been a month since we last sat down and discussed what was going on in the market.
Yep.
So what update do you have for us?
Well, it's been an interesting 4 weeks since, I suppose 4 weeks, but also since the beginning of 2021. It's really got off to a start that most people didn't expect. And we've seen an environment which, even Warwick himself says over the last 40 years is probably the most active time that from a buying perspective, but also from prospective sellers end as well. So it's been really surprising, and we're very, very happy to be in this year.
Now we've seen auction clearance rates hit 90% or over for the last 3 weeks. Has that come as a bit of a surprise to you, or could you see that on the horizon?
Well, we always thought there was going to be some sort of demand coming into 2021, because you look at what happened in 2020, or certainly the back end of it anyway, that there was such a shortage of stock. And generally we find, and you would have seen in the last January insights, that we see that new wave of buyers coming into the market. And what we've experienced is that yes, there's a new wave of buyers coming into the market, but there's also quite a lot of remaining buyers from 2020, and that coupled together, plus with the low interest rates and of course the shortage of stock, has really helped those auction clearance rates get into an outstanding 90%.
Now has that wave of new buyers continued in February, or has that sort of petered off now?
Absolutely, it's continued. Yeah, we haven't seen any drop off in buyers, and in fact, to give you some stats more on our ground, is that we've seen about 150 groups. We saw over 150 groups throughout the course of the weekend, and that was split over about 15 listings.
Excellent.
So it's great.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Now we've had some excellent results in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Now there have probably been two standouts for you. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah. So we had firstly number 60 Brunel Street in Russell Lea.
Very popular house.
Yeah, which is a fantastic home. Fortunately for the vendor, it only lasted on the market for 3 weeks. We had over 70 groups come through the property in those 3 weeks. 9 contracts issued from prospective buyers, and actually 8 groups bidding pre-auction. So it was a fantastic result there, and really one we were really happy with.
And the other one at 902 Drummoyne Avenue, can you give us a bit of insight into that one?
That's right, quite a rare 3-bedroom apartment in Eastside Drummoyne, a small block of 9, originally built in the 70s. This one was over 180 square meters, so a huge floor space and a beautiful character to it. There hasn't been many sold in there within the last 10 or 15 years, so a bit of a prized possession there on Rodd Point. But again, beautiful vendors, and of course really nice buyers that have come from, in fact, out in Piermont. So it was nice to have a bit of an out of area buyer, as we say, but they are planning on having that as their family home, and they're looking for the ease and convenience of apartment living. So that was a great sale.
Now, the last few weeks we have seen a lot more stock come on the market compared to this time last month. Are you seeing any buyers drop off, like the supply now meeting demand, or are we still in that sort of phase where there's more buyers than there are properties available to them?
Yeah, well, I suppose that comes back, Dave, to say which section of the market are you looking at. Because, in Drummoyne and 2046 and 2047, you've got a really active apartment market, which generally has a high turnover because of the volume of apartments that we have in the area. So we're seeing from the apartment side, we're certainly seeing a lot of stock come on, and not so much a lot of stock, but more stock than what we would have seen, say, 3 or 4 months ago. But, again, you're looking at the buyers we're seeing anywhere between 40 to 60 groups come through over a 4 to 5 week campaign. So that would ultimately tell us that, listen, there is still a shortage on the apartment side, but then you look and compare it to the housing market, where there's only maybe 2 or 3 homes in Drummoyne at this point in time that are on the market. So from the apartment side, yes, there's a bit more stock, but probably not meeting the buyer demand. And from the housing side, we're really not, from the buyers, it far outweighs the stock levels.
So I suppose anyone in that section of the market who is contemplating whether or not to put their house on the market, would you say is now the time to go? Should they be holding off? What's your advice to those people?
Well, again, I suppose it comes down to their own personal situation. But if the intention is to make an upsize or downsize at some point in the next 3 to 9 months, I suppose it's always better to know what you have to work with from a buying side, and we've actually had listed 3 properties this week with those situations. They had planned to make a move at some point in the next 9 months, but figured that it's quite an active market at this point, and they'll put the property on, and actually we'll have 3 properties launching in the next 7 days for that reason.
Excellent, excellent. And now leading into the weekend, we've got a couple of auctions coming up this week.
Yeah, a bit of an out of area lineup this week, which is cool.
Nothing wrong with that.
Not exactly. It's great. It's nice that we're able to help clients across the inner west. We've got one in Marsfield and Balaclava Road, and then we've also got Ross Street and Forest Lodge.
And we'll be doing our best to get a live stream happening on those auctions. So if you'd like to check in and see how they go, just make sure you subscribe to our Facebook page.
Yeah, and you know what? That's actually been very helpful for a lot of prospective buyers, but also prospective sellers, to figure out how active auctions are at the moment. And it's really there's property's a bit of a buzzword again in Sydney. So
I suppose it's a new dimension to researching the market now, isn't it? You're sort of seeing it firsthand how it's all working, how it's all coming together.
Yeah, and it's been really made a big difference to our office and our clients overall.
Now, just on the side of the rental market for our investors, I suppose in the last couple of months we have seen a little bit of stabilisation in terms of the rents moving. So at the moment the stock levels are still just on that little bit of the high end, but the number of properties turning over is starting to slow down. So tenants are now starting to settle. In terms of rents, I don't think we'll see any further changes in terms of them dropping or even rising. I think the market that we're in now is probably the way it's going to be for the foreseeable future, or at least until migration opens up and we start seeing that influx of internationals coming back into Sydney.
And how many days is it taking to lease a property at the moment?
Well, if it's priced correctly at the moment and it's meeting the market, then you should be able to secure a tenant within 2 to 3 weeks.
That's good.
If you're sitting above the market price point, then you're obviously going to struggle, because tenants they know that there are better deals out there at the moment. They're doing their research.
Yeah.
It's with the technology that's available to us these days. It's very easy for them to know if they're paying above or below market rent.
Yeah, great. That's good.
All right, well, this concludes February Insights. We hope you enjoyed our little update here. If you're watching us on YouTube, remember to hit the subscribe button so you get notified of all our future videos. Until next time, I'm David Frazina.
And I'm Conor Allen.
Thanks for tuning in.